All right, welcome everybody to week 8, day 3. We're actually going to do 2 recorded lectures today. The first is just words of encouragement. The second is going to be on some technical issues on vectors. So this video is going to be words of encouragement. If you are not interested in being encouraged and having positive feedback and stuff like that, just skip to the next video. It's fine. It won't bother me. So I've had several students over the last couple days tell me that computer science isn't as fun as they thought it would be. A lot of them have done like the hour of code or something like that in elementary school, and you're teaching Anna and Elsa how to make snowflakes and things like that. And then you get to here, and it's like, you got just Zybooks and for loops and functions and all this kind of stuff kind of coming at you. And the good news is, like, the class is going to kind of like ease up after this point. I kind of go hard at the beginning of the semester because you kind of can't write any computer science program of any sort of merit or value or interest until you know everything. Right? Like, imagine trying to write a program without a variable. It's like you could, if it's all printout statements or something, but it's really hard to write a program without a variable. It's really hard to write a program without any input or output. Like, what does your code do? Who knows? You can't see anything. What about a homework assignment without like an if statement in it? Well, we did one, right? It just, you get some values, you do some computations and output the result. Yeah, I guess you could technically write a program without an if statement, but all interesting things come from if statements. So yeah, you kind of need to know if statements too. And then loops, like, my goodness, like, you don't want to have to, copy and paste your code 15 times to print hello world 15 times. You kind of have to have loops too. And sometimes, you want to say like loop until something happens, loop until the user hits quit. And you can't do that without knowing loops. And then functions are just really nice ways of like organizing your code and things like that. And so you can't really write any computer science program of any interest at all without having those basics down. And really, I'd throw vectors in there as well, so that you can deal with, more than just like a couple numbers at a time. And so, like, this class goes pretty hard at the beginning, and now we're going to spend probably the next, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks or something like that, just practicing. So you're going to see a lot of lab time. You're going to have a lot of, like, I'm going to still teach new things every day. You're going to have a lot of time to like work on your homework assignments and work on the new things and practice them, and practice your for loops and practice your if statements and practice, your functions and things like that. I just graded all of your functions competency exams last night, and 75% of them failed. Why? Not because of the function stuff, but because most students couldn't write a for loop that does not match the standard pattern. So what the assignment called for, what the competency exam called for, was something like this. You had to make a void function named like primer or something like that took in a minimum value and a maximum value, and it had to print all the numbers between min and max, along with if the number is prime or not. So that would be a for loop that looks like this: for int I equals min, I is less than or equal to max, I plus plus. And most students couldn't write this for loop. Starting at min, going to max. Should be a semicolon, sorry. Yeah, don't make fun of people's for loops if you can't do it right yourself. Huh? There we go. So we don't have a main, but that will print all the numbers. Like, you pass in 20 for min and 30 for max, that'll print 20, 21, 22, 27, 20, 29, 30. Okay, so that part right there is what got most students not being able to write a proper for loop. And you have to know it. You have to be able to knock out a for loop correctly. You have to be able to write an if statement correctly. And that's why we hit these concepts so hard, and why I give you so many Zybooks on them to keep doing them over and over and over again. Because while there are a lot of similarities with like learning a foreign language, the good news is in most foreign languages, the hard part is the vocab. You have to memorize 40 new words a week or whatever. there's only like a few things to memorize in computer science, but these things absolutely have to be memorized, like how to make a for loop and understanding what's going on with the for loop here. So this is the number it's starting at, this is the number it's going up to, and it's going up one number at a time. Like you have to understand that conceptually, or you will just absolutely die in computer science if it's your major. And so, has it been fun doing 400 points of Zybooks? No, but it's kind of necessary. And that's why you have to stay on that grind and actually do the practice and do the work. And the good news is, like I said, you've probably noticed that Zybooks are getting easier now. The pace of the class is going to slow down because we are now going to be in the phase of the class where we're practicing things. And we're going to keep practicing until you get good. Okay? And there's some fun homework assignments coming up too. So for those of you that are like, oh, it's not fun, we have a really fun homework assignment coming up. Not Deal or No Deal. Deal or No Deal is just there to teach you about files and vectors and maybe how to use the standard library a little bit, which is what we're going to be talking about later today. But we got a homework assignment coming up called image processing, where you have to write basically a Photoshop filter. So you're given an image, and then you write code to modify the image. If you're Betancourt, then you make a lean filter that turns everything purple. But most students do things like blurring, and yeah, exactly. That was incredibly fast. Oh, there we. You already had that one. Okay. Yeah, I was like, that you're on fire doing a screenshot and a lean filter that quickly. Okay, but that was an old one. Yeah, so there's all sorts of fun places for computer scientists to express their creativity, but you can't just be like. So some students get upset because like, oh, well, my code is mostly correct. You told me to output 20 to 30, and I outputted 20 to 29. That's almost correct, right? And it's like, not really. Like if you're working for a bank and you're trying to compute how much somebody owes in taxes and you accidentally forget December, like that's wrong. Like it's not like almost right. It's like you're actually wrong. If you add up January through November and you forget December's values for the tax computation, the IRS isn't going to be happy that you're only paying taxes on 11 out of the 12 months. Okay, it's just wrong. And so you have to develop a sensibility to be always correct, to always match the correctness of the code and not have bugs and things like that. But also, it's also creative. And so every time you write a program, there's a million different ways you can write it. And so there's creativity in that. And then there's some applications like the image processing thing, which are very creative, or game development, which is very creative. And a lot of the fun that comes about through computer science comes after you've gotten good, right? It's like I was telling you, the 12 o'clock class, when you learn to ski, it's not fun. Like the first time I learned to ski, I was skiing in jeans. And I fell constantly, and my jeans were soaked with melted snow, and then they froze, and they melted, and I was just like absolutely miserable and hating it. But once you get good at skiing, it's a lot of fun. It's the closest thing you can do to flying without falling off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're going down the mountain and there's just fountains of snow coming up as you're carving left and right, and it's just a great feeling. And you're in control, and you can control how fast or how slow you want to go, how quickly you want to turn, how wide you want to turn, or you just bomb it. And it's just an absolutely lovely, wonderful feeling. But you have to get to that level of skill first, which is not easy. It's not easy to get good at skiing. I was on the UCSD ski team, and I was the worst person on the UCSD ski team except for one other guy, and so it's a kind of thing that rewards investment of time, and that's true for skiing. It's true for pretty much anything you do. Like the first time you probably swam, it probably wasn't enjoyable. You drowned, but swimming's fun after you know how to swim. And driving's fun after you know enough not to run people over. You know what I mean? So you need to understand that computer science is actually a really fun discipline to be in. I actually enjoy computer science a lot. Just be aware that, sure, doing 400 points of Zybooks is not a lot of fun, but it's necessary because it's that you have to stay on that grind. You have to grind up your skills to a point where you can write a for loop and have it be correct, and write an if statement and have it be correct, And then once you kind of move past that like basic level, then you can have fun, like doing problem solving and making games and all this other kind of stuff. It's actually really rewarding, and it's really a lot of fun. It's very fun, but you need to grind hard. Yeah, you do. You really do. And you have to stay on that grind. Really, we're gonna like kind of plateau a little bit here. Like in 41, there's gonna be a grind too, and really after you've taken 40 and 41, you kind of like know how to program, and you could get a job as a junior developer. I got my first job as a junior developer after taking 40 and 41, the equivalent of it. And then once you start a job, then you realize there's still a lot of stuff you have to learn, and then you learn from the job and you learn from your classes, and it's never ending. Like you will always be learning in computer science. That's one of the things that I like about the field, is that I've got books over here. Like how many did I buy this year? 3 or 4 of them over there that I bought this year that I've been going through, you know, and and there's always something more to learn. It's one of the best things about computer science. You have to kind of like learning because you never stop. Okay, so that's encouragement. You need to just keep working hard. If you didn't do any of the Zybooks, you need to go back and do the Zybooks. Like, trust me, you need, like, if you failed one of the competency exams, or even if you passed it with a 3, but you failed the coding part of it, you need to get on top of that and go back and do more assignments. There's websites that I can recommend to you that are probably maybe a little bit like LeetCode. A lot of people use HackerRank. These are like what people use to like practice for like job interviews and things like that. But like the easy difficulty stuff, Code Wars I think is another one. And they have like difficulty levels, and so you guys should be able to do the easy stuff on it. But you're kind of at a point now where you kind of like know all the basics in computer science. There's one really important topic that we're going to cover in a while called classes that you don't need to know right now, but it will make your life easier once you learn it. But for now, you got the basics. So we're just going to sit there and we're going to practice them and get good, right? So that's my encouragement to you guys. My encouragement is to stick with it. Don't let the fact that some things aren't fun, they're a lot of work, because anything worthwhile takes a lot of effort to do. So there's, if you're serious about being a computer science major and learning computer science, you need to put in, there's no substitute for the blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, you just got to put in the time. But I can tell you, it's really rewarding in the back end when you have 1 million people play your game and they like it. It's the best feeling in the world. Like, it's just really cool having put something out there that people liked, that people enjoyed. When you go onto the forums for your game, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're a developer. Oh, you're the guy who made the game. Oh, that's so incredible. Let me say all these really positive things about your game," because fans of the game never say anything. Oh wait, no, it's actually the reverse. Actually, the fans of your game are the most negative people you will probably encounter. But there's probably some there's probably some positive encouragement from it. So you need to learn how to separate out like stupid criticisms from valid criticisms. You need to, because sometimes they will have valid criticisms about your game. You need to listen to it and pay attention to it. And sometimes they're just wrong. And there's no book that you can read that will tell you when the fans are right and when you're right. There's no judge, there's no arbiter. It's something you have to learn yourself. And sometimes it's obvious. Like I was telling the 12 o'clock class that I had a bug in my game where you could feign death and look like you're a dead body, but then they figured out a way of enabling movement while you're dead, and so we had all these corpses sliding around on the ground. So you're just like running around, and then like this corpse just scoots out from behind a desk, and you can't shoot them because they're like sliding face first on the ground everywhere. And I was just like, okay, yeah, we need to fix that. That's a bug right there. That needs to be fixed. Yeah. They get the flag, they're running off with the flag, it's just sliding face first on the ground everywhere. Yeah, it was kind of creepy. Maybe I'll re-enable it for October. I don't know. It was hilarious. And I was like, Yeah, it's getting fixed. Like sometimes when there's bugs, like I leave it in. You know, like some bugs are really funny. Like I had a bug that accidentally turned the water bouncy. So you jump onto water, you bounce off of it like a giant trampoline. And I was like, okay, that's actually fun. That's actually really fun. And it actually opens up tactical, interesting things on a map that you can do before. So I left it in as a server option, so servers could turn the bug on or off if they wanted. It's not a bug; it's a feature. Yeah. So you know, but where was I going with that? Anyhow, yeah. So like, if you took out the sliding corpse thing, like usually your fans are going to be like, okay, yeah, that was a bug. You should fix that. But then sometimes they get mad if you fix a bug because that was like their thing. Like I could only win by sliding face first, exploiting this bug, and they'll get mad at you. So uh, anyhow, that's a good problem to have. Like when you get to the point where you've got a community of people like playing your game and engaging with you and things like that, you're in a pretty good place, because like that means they care enough about your software to play it. Just be aware that the feedback that you get from your fans, oftentimes, the more they like your thing, the more negative the feedback they give you. So, um, look at grinding gear games, GGG, the people that make Path of Exile. Look at the feedback they've been getting for Lake of Kalandra. Um, Pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So all their big streamers and things like that all basically just kind of quit playing it. Yeah. So maybe they're wrong. Maybe GG's wrong. Anyway, so that's the thing. Like your goal, in my opinion, should get to the point where you can actually make a real software and have people in the real world using it. One of my former students is working for Microsoft now, making some product called Windows 11 or something. And despite that, I don't hold it against him. It's cool that there are people using his software, apparently. So it's neat that somebody's trying out Windows 11 because I'm not. I kid. Anyway, so that's it for my words of encouragement. Let me go switch recordings, and we will talk about vectors in a second.